Step into realms where the heart takes flight, where strategy meets the edge of night. The dungeons, dragons, and psychology part decks. Prepare your mind. Now be our guest.
Rogues, the masters of stealth, deception, and resourcefulness. They navigate the world in the shadows, relying on their cunning and adaptability to overcome challenges. Their independent spirit thrives on puzzles, plans, and the thrill of a perfectly executed heist. Perhaps not literally when we're talking about real life. Our real-life rogues aren't just about lock-picking and deception and disappearing into the night. They represent a philosophy of independent thinking, resourcefulness, and the ability to solve problems with ingenuity. And guess what? You can cultivate these same skills in your real life. I'm Robert Walker, author of Session Zero, the DMG to writing great campaigns in any system, and this is my show where I teach collaborative storytellers how to have more immersive campaigns using psychology. And today, we're talking about embodying the rogue spirit. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the rogue and its abilities and plan to level up, let's talk about the power of three, the three-book rule that we have talked about in all the episodes prior to this, that was popularized by Tim Ferriss, which proposes that by reading just 3 well-chosen books on a specific topic, you equip yourself with foundational knowledge, making you a quote-unquote expert compared to the average person on the topic. So as I have for each of the other episodes, and I will continue to do for all of these classes, I have selected 3 books that might help you understand the rogue mindset and give you a foundational set of skills upon which to craft your goals and set your milestones in order as you move along this path. You will, of course, be able to find Amazon links to these books if you wish to investigate them yourself as you go along your journey. The first one is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Now, this book looks at the 2 systems that drive our thinking. The first is the fast system, the intuitive system, and the second is the slow system, or the more deliberative system. Now, rogues need to be able to adapt using both thinking systems to their advantage, acting quickly in situations that demand it, but also being able to be deliberate and strategic in their thinking and planning as they anticipate consequences and actions. Next is Steal Like an Artist. I've mentioned this one before, Austin Kleon. This book challenges the idea of originality and instead emphasizes the importance of learning from a remixing of existing work or work that others have created. It aligns with the rogue's resourceful nature, where they can find inspiration and solutions by adapting existing ideas to new situations. And the last one is Kevin D. Mintuk's The Art of Deception. Now, this is written by a former hacker turned security consultant, and this book delves into the psychology of deception and social engineering. Now, this book does not endorse using those techniques for malicious purposes. What it does do is it gives rogues a valuable lesson about understanding people, persuasion, and anticipating how others might think. It's really important to emphasize here that rogues in this context should be focusing on ethical resourcefulness and problem solving. And while the book, The Art of Deception, touches on social engineering techniques, it should be used to understand human behavior for positive purposes, such as protecting oneself from deception rather than deceiving people. I just want to make that very clear. So let's talk about the Rogue's Toolkit. To embody the rogue spirit, so we're going to be focusing on the attributes of dexterity as the primary ability and intelligence as the secondary ability. For rogues, dex represents your physical agility, your stealth, your quick reflexes. Here you can think of the rogue as the nimble acrobat. It's able to navigate tight spaces and evade danger. Intelligence, on the other hand, will reflect your problem-solving skills, your resourcefulness, and your ability to think strategically. A rogue's mind is a steel trap, always formulating plans and anticipating challenges. So first, let's talk about mastering dexterity and how to sharpen your dexterity. One way to do it is to practice moving silently or moving more gracefully, working on your posture and your mobility, being able to move deftly in your surroundings, walking agilely across difficult terrain. These are all things that a rogue should be able to do. So part of this is being aware of your environment, but also having the physical capability to move comfortably regardless of what the terrain might look like. One really great way to do this is to simply walk in places that are not just flat concrete, that are not just pavement. You should be walking on uneven surfaces and letting your body build all of those small muscles that are used for stabilizers so that you can feel comfortable moving across difficult terrains. And that's really important when it comes to a rogue's type of dexterity, where they feel comfortable moving freely in whatever the environment throws their way. Next, find ways to embrace the flow. So activities for dexterity and the flow would be like dance, yoga, martial arts, or parkour. These things can enhance your coordination, your balance, and your agility. So if you picture yourself becoming a nimble rogue, being able to navigate treacherous situations with nimbleness and grace, learning a skill like one of these things could be top of your goal list as you put these milestones and everything together. You might just say, I want to work on my coordination by learning some parkour. That would be an excellent rogue activity to learn. And of course, refining your skills, improving things like your hand-eye coordination, like doing activities like juggling, learning lockpicking with practice kits only, of course, or even learning to play a musical instrument. That might fall more into the bard scope, but rogues get performed too. So there's no reason why a rogue who has nimble manual dexterity shouldn't be able to be a master of an instrument as well. So picture yourself learning the small motor movements that improve those refined skills and small uses of dexterity rather than the big grandiose movements of dexterity like full body movements. Think more of manual dexterity as well in terms of a rogue. Just as important as a rogue's nimble body is the rogue's cunning mind. So let's look at their intelligence and some ways that you could develop your problem-solving skills and be a roguelike strategic thinker. First, puzzles. Dedicate some time to brain teasers or logic puzzles or Sudoku. There are lots of online platforms that offer countless options to sharpen your analytical mind. There's apps that you can download on your phone to increase your critical thinking and riddles and all sorts of stuff. Next, think like a strategist. Maybe take a course in project management or chess basics or game theory. Learn to plan ahead and develop strategies. Chess would be an excellent skill to acquire as a rogue because it does involve thinking ahead and strategically thinking about movements and possibilities and planning to counter or set up things from or for the other player. And embracing the unexpected. So the rogue needs to be able to adapt to new situations. You can do this with improv classes or role-playing games, which is something that we as role players are probably doing all the time. So while you're doing your role-playing games, focus on characters that are going to rely on quick thinking and creative solutions and really try to invest yourself in the mindset of that character, because practicing being in that mindset will help you in your everyday life as you want to embody those sort of quick thinking moments for yourself. So remember, as you're developing your character sheet and you're putting together your goals and your milestones for this, you're going to want to choose something for your primary ability and your secondary ability, a couple of skills that you're going to be working on. So choose those carefully. But there's beyond those concepts, the rogue's philosophy extends beyond those simple skill sets. So let's talk a little bit more about the mindset of a real world rogue. First, curiosity should never sleep. A rogue is a lifelong learner, always curious and questioning the world around them. So you'll want to explore new ideas and delve deep into topics that pique your interest. You want to expand your knowledge base. That's a primary function of being a rogue, is to acquire knowledge and experience. Next, self-reliance is one of their keys. They rely on their own skills and ingenuity. So developing a strong sense of self-reliance and learning to trust your instincts could be a separate goal. You could use that for either your primary or your secondary ability, is learning self-reliance and dexterity, learning how to trust your body as it moves, or learning how to develop a set of mental skills or knowledges that you feel confident in most situations. Thinking for yourself is important for them too. You can challenge the status quo by developing your own opinions and understanding them. Learn to approach problems from your own perspective, just like a rogue, and find clever solutions that maybe no one else sees. And of course, resourcefulness is one of their keys. It's one of their greatest powers. Make the most out of what you have. Find creative solutions to challenges and try and turn your limitations into opportunities. That is truly the heart of what makes a rogue great, is their adaptability and their resourcefulness in pretty much every situation. They are the jack of all trades, the master of skills. They usually have an answer for most situations. And I think that in a real world context, a rogue is a very valuable character. The ability to be able to respond appropriately in pretty much any situation is a huge skill to have. Very successful people have this ability, and cultivating this in your own life could lead to a lot of success. Now, while the rogue is the jack of all trades, that kind of makes it a little bit difficult to pin down a very specific thing for you to focus on to level up as a rogue, because you can almost focus on anything to level up as a rogue. But let's talk about our 3-month plan to help you do that. So your first month is going to be building a foundation. Choose something that is going to focus on your primary stat of dexterity and embrace some agility. Choose an activity like dance or yoga or parkour or martial arts or running. Trail running would be a great one too. Find something that will improve your coordination and agility. You could practice lockpicking, like I mentioned, with practice kits only. You can find those on Amazon. And refine motor skills and full body dexterity skills. So in that first month, just participate in some activities that are going to challenge your spatial awareness and improve your agility. A great one would be obstacle courses or rock climbing. Yes, they require strength too, but a lot of those skills require both mind and body to overcome. You need to be agile and you need to be able to think your way through. Like if you're doing a rock climbing wall, how do you think your way through the ascent and the descent, and then have the nimbleness of body to pull that off? And next, in that first month, sharpen your senses. So you can do things like taking walks or hikes, and while you're doing that, practicing observing your surroundings. Even things like playing I Spy or silly games like that could focus your attention and get you to hone in on details. You could also take a self-defense class that emphasizes awareness and evasion, which are, of course, key skills for a rogue, and developing some sort of plan for a skill that you want to learn, a new skill to acquire, because rogues are all about having a plethora of skills. They're the skill masters in the game. When you need a skill check done, look to the rogue, right? Because they get those mini skill points and have access to most of the skills available. So what is a skill that you want to develop? What is something you've always wanted to learn how to do? That's what you need to figure out in your first month, and start doing those things. What is the skill you want to learn, and how are you going to improve your agility? Figure that out. Figure those two things out your first month and start the foundation of working on them. If you're not sure about a skill you want to learn, then just try and find ways to ignite your curiosity. Devour books or articles on diverse topics. Maybe visit a museum or an art gallery. engage in conversation with people, but broaden your perspective and just see what things are out there that you would like to learn. And once you have a good idea, then fill out that character sheet with your goals and your milestones, and get working on them. In month 2, you're going to start working on that leveling up process. So dedicate some time to working on the intelligence-based skill that you're learning, whether this is a brain teaser, logic, or you're choosing a skill like maybe like playing pool would be a fun one for a rogue to learn. You have to know that a rogue's great at things like pool and darts and all sorts of little things that a lot of us would love to be really good at, but we just haven't taken the time to develop. Think like a strategist. So in that second month, find an online course that is going to give you some strategy, either chess or game theory, project management, whatever it is, or something that relates specifically to the skill that you're trying to develop, or a class that's going to teach you the strategy behind becoming better at whatever physical ability that you have decided to work on. And also during this second month, you need to embrace some adaptability. So find ways to think on your feet and include the 2 skills that you're working on while you do that, right? So one fun thing that I've done is there's a great app out there called Zombie Run. It's a lot of fun. So when I do my trail runs and I'm doing my Spartan training, I go on trail runs and I turn on this app, and then periodically it lets you, you're alerted that zombies are chasing you and you have to run harder to escape them. And if you're working in difficult terrains, this is going to trigger that, adaptability and ability to move quickly and gracefully over difficult terrain because you can't let the zombies catch you, right? It's just a little mental hack that is going to increase your adaptability to a situation and get you to push yourself a little bit harder. So look for little creative solutions like that can push you in your challenge a little bit further, a little bit harder, so that you have to think more quickly than you had originally planned on. Find ways of thinking outside the box, as it were. Now, by month 3, you should really be starting to understand a little bit about these skills that you've been developing. You should be getting pretty good at them. If, for example, you started learning some parkour in month 1, by the 3rd month, you should have a handful of good skills that you can use with that tool set. What I would challenge you to do during month 3 is to showcase it. Now, you don't need to go online and post videos of you doing parkour and trying to compete with all those people who are just insanely good at it. But I would say get out and do it where you can be seen. Learn how to be confident in your skill set, because that is another key to the rogue. Is a good rogue has to be able to be confident with adapting and showcasing their skills. Sure, they might keep them hidden and do them to the shadows, but at least with your party, they need to know what you're good at and that they can count on you in a variety of situations. So find some way to showcase the skill that you've learned, even if it's just to a couple of friends, and maybe get them involved and excited. And next, take your independent learning further with your intelligence-based skills. Look for opportunities maybe to learn from a professional who's very good at what it is that you're doing. Find some open source projects perhaps, or online communities where you can share what you're working on and maybe receive some feedback and information about how to take that skill further, how to become better at it. And then most importantly, during the 3rd month, I really want you to focus on being the ethical rogue, using your new skills and your resourcefulness to either help others or at least research some ethical thinking. Use your ingenuity for positive purposes and identify your personal moral compass so that you ensure that this resourcefulness you have is used for good. And if you're anything like me, once you get into the habit of learning a new skill and becoming adept at something, that sort of becomes addictive. I think I would say that by nature, a rogue is something that I am very drawn to, just because I am one of those people who, if there's something I want to know how to do, or I realize I don't know how to do, I immediately want to learn how to do it. I YouTube countless videos on it. I buy the tools needed to learn the skill. I take classes on it. Like, that's just me as a person. I want to acquire a vast array of skills. And I think if you really embody the rogue, that'll be something that you enjoy doing too. You'll just become sort of a collector of skill sets to the point where people will view you as a jack of all trades. And often, like I do, people will hear about something that you've been doing, or they'll see something you've been doing, and they'll say to you, "Is there anything you don't know how to do?" And people say that to me all the time. My response generally is, "Oh yes, there's thousands of things I don't know how to do, but I always try and learn everything that I want to know how to do." And I think that is sort of the embodiment of the rogue. Remember, it's not about shortcuts or shady dealings. It's about resourcefulness and using your skills and intelligence to overcome challenges ethically, creatively, and to be sort of the person who can be relied on to help with almost anything in any situation. And this can sound like a lot because the rogue does acquire a lot of skills. It doesn't have to be that much. You can literally dedicate 15 minutes a day to working on each of these skills. So a total of 30 minutes in your day can be working on agility and some sort of intelligence-based learning, and you're going to show improvements. And over time, if you just keep doing this every day, you're just trying to learn something new or further develop a skill that you have, you're going to acquire an immense amount of skills and knowledge over even just a year. You would be really surprised how much you can learn and how much you can know about all sorts of things just by a handful of minutes a day. I mean, the amount of time that most of us spend scrolling social media or, looking through TikTok or watching silly videos, if you're instead watching videos that are teaching you a skill, just think of how much you could actually learn in that amount of time. So I will just leave you with that thought. And that is all for today, my cyclothids. Remember, the path of the rogue is a journey of constant learning and self-improvement. Embrace challenges, hone your skills, and cultivate that independent spirit. The world needs people of resourcefulness and unique perspective. So unleash that inner rogue and leave your mark on the world. And don't forget, you can share your experience with us now. You can message the show directly. There is a new feature that they have, fan mail. At the top of our episode description, you'll find a link that says text us cyclists. And if you click on that, you can just send a text to the show. You can talk about your experiences with leveling up, the things that you might be focusing on, what challenges you might have. But also, I'm looking for ideas for additional content, additional episode topics that you would like to see investigated in future shows as I'm putting together those other episodes that are more in our traditional format. So feel free to use that link and get in contact with us or send us a message and let us know what you think about things. As always, my friends, I'll see you next session.